What's up, y'all, man? So Angel Reese has another dominant performance. Her and both Chelsea Gray been tearing it up, lately. So shout out to both of them as well as Lexi Hull of the Indiana Fever who played with them. But just a few things, man. Angel Reese. So first of all, this is another 20-point game. This is 23 points, 14 rebounds. She also had a number of good assists, action there. So it's obvious to see that as she's played more in this Unrivaled, she's gotten more and more comfortable, and she's really reiterating a lot of what I was trying to describe last year, which is the first time really I was set to take a whole season to kind of study her as a player in live action, and this is what I was saying last season. And I'm hoping that people are able to kind of like um, see it maybe easier in 3-on-3 because I think sometimes in 5-on-5, not everybody's able to recognize this what I'm trying to describe, and it's players who have an ability to impose their will on a basketball game. Um, it's what I loved about guys like Michael Jordan, um, Kobe Bryant, Shaq, and other types of players. And this isn't about comparing it to them, but what I'm talking about is this particular attribute that I mean. Where, because I remember last year we used to have these debates all the time, about the impacts between like her and also the eventual rookie of the year last season, Caitlin Clark. And one of the arguments I was making constantly all the time, as to why, like, for my money, if I'm building my franchise, why I lean more towards the Angel Reese type of player over Caitlin Clark type of player. Meaning, uh, put it this way: I think it's easier to find someone that does what Caitlin Clark does over someone who does what Angel Reese does. I just think it's easier to find them people, players that are her size who does what she does, and so on. I mean, unless Caitlin Clark just transforms and becomes this super um, ridiculous talent. I mean, which could happen technically. I mean, I don't know. When you're the Monarch athlete, a lot of times they're going to make sure you get the right nutrition, weight room, peds sometimes, and a number of things like that. And if you have the drive, maybe that can happen. And I'm not immune from being wrong or anything like that. But the one thing I noticed about Angel Reese last season, even when they would play against each other, right? Because first of all, the Indiana Fever had the better roster, superior roster to Chicago Sky, and this was apparent the majority of the time when they played. Despite this, the games were always competitive and always close. You know, and part of it had to do with the identity of the two teams. Indiana Fever were the fast transition team that was looking to shoot threes, and they had the 3-point shooters, and they have a great low post player in Aaliyah Boston, and you have their primary really scorer in for most of the year. It was Kelsey Mitchell was like the primary scorer, the facilitator, Caitlin Clark, and she also provided points and so on, right? But they didn't. They always ranked in the bottom half of the league when it comes to defense. Sometimes dead last. It would be between them and say Dallas, Whereas the Chicago Sky, their attitude was more defensive oriented, similar to the Connecticut Sun and so on, right? They were kind of like that type of team, you know. But you notice because of the difference, the disparity in talent, and veteran leadership, the Fever got the better of the matchups the majority of the time. Okay, that last one I don't even count because Kennedy Carter not available, and so on, right? But if you remember that third matchup where Chicago Sky managed to win, the reason they won was apparent. It was Angel Reese literally taking over the game and just not going for a loss. It was one of those situations where the player was not going to be denied, and that was a perfect prime example of it. Anyone who wants to go back and look at that game where she drops to 225 points to 15 rebounds. I guess it was an environment. I think you're home in Chicago. You got Cheryl Swoopes sitting up there, who put herself on the line by offering an opinion of Angel Reese that no other professional was willing to do, and for that I'll always respect Cheryl Swoopes. I always respected her just as a player anyway. She's one of the greatest to ever do it anyway. But her candidness when it came to her speaking out against the toxic element of Caitlin Clark fan base, something I'm going to always respect her for. But when you do that, you see, that's writing a check that Angel got to cash. Now, what I liked about what Angel Reese did is she wasn't going to let that lady be talking in vain. You see, that's like those are the type of people, type of athletes you could put your money on. And here on this channel, of course, I'm an Eagles fan before anything. I'm always talking about Jalen Hurts, for example, because I see a lot of similarities between him and Angel Reese, to be honest with you. They're the two players that won. They won at all levels, right? They won in college and so on. Personalities are different, obviously. But that drive that they got, because Angel Reese, when we read what she's talking about, her drive in terms of her work ethic, first in the gym, less out the gym, they're similar in that way. But they're viewed similar as they both drop in the draft, despite despite the college success. They both drop in the draft because the geniuses out here who decide who's good and who isn't, they don't like, for example, Angel Reese's shooting form. And they don't like the way her offensive game looks. Right? And with Jalen Hurts, you hear the same type of stuff. He doesn't have the prettiest throwing motion. I don't like the way it looks. He's unorthodox in the way he plays. But he has certain attributes that are already elite. The playmaking, the ability to move the chains, all these different things, the leadership. And you see very similar attributes with Angel Reese in her game. She's already an elite rebounder and already an elite defensive player. Last year, she was the 24th best ranked defensive player out of 144 players in that league. And I see that she's actually gotten better if you look at her on the ball, one-on-one defense. So I expect her rating to be actually higher this year. Right? So you're talking about already elite with those things. And then now, if she just adds I'm starting to see little things she's adding to her offense. So I'm expecting her to be a lot better scorer, like in the post. Learning how to shield defenders off and use her body, use your back, use, different little tricks of the trade that she's probably picking up by being around those excellent players and Unrivaled, studying the game. I'm sure Tyler Marsh, the new coach, is going to help with a lot of those things and so on. But the point is, if you look at the turnaround here just in the Unrivaled, you can literally see the energy that the team is playing with on this 5-game winning streak. Really has a lot to do with, of course, Chelsea Gray's clutchness, which I ain't going to take away from. Chelsea Gray is got a serious chip on her shoulder personally, and they do as a team, as Angel said. But Chelsea Gray is making it clear out there. Ain't all that talk about she was just too old, and last year in the playoffs, Caitlin Clark should have been there instead of her, and all that BS, which I didn't even buy, because really she was dealing with injuries all year. She putting them on notice that no, she got a lot of game left. She looking like magic out there, man. You know, yeah, Chelsea is her. And then Angel Reese just deciding I'm just going to be the baddest motherfucker out here. I don't care if it's Griner. Just think about that. You know, you talking about two Hall of Fame players she just faced. First, Nafisa Collier, consensus, top 3 player in the W. Brittany Griner, who's typically the baddest mofo out there. Just too big. Brittany Griner has a hell of an offensive game in the low post that I respect. She got turnarounds. She got like up and under. She got all the moves down there. Bro, the way Angel guards her is phenomenal. This isn't like normal stuff, man. This ain't no joke. This ain't no fluff for a player. If you don't understand the value of that, man, I don't know. Keep watching basketball. You'll see what I mean when it comes down to who's going to win and those types of things, man. It's serious. So, one of the things that has just happened is Lexi Hull, teammate of Caitlin Clark, and according to what I'm reading and seeing, someone who had a growing friendship with Caitlin Clark as well, you know. Is playing with Angel Reese here in Unrivaled. Interesting that they hooked that up like that. But it's also good, too, though. She said about Angel Reese here, when they asked her about it, she says her competitiveness is just so evident. Because really, she says, her quotes, you hear her and you feel her. As a teammate, it's awesome. It's great to have on your side. And these are the things I was saying last season. This is the type of player you rather have on your side and not against. Like, just think about even last season. With Kennedy Carter, it was the infamous bump heard around the world, where Kennedy Carter, hip checks Caitlin Clark after Caitlin Clark. She felt Caitlin Clark hit her on the other side down the floor, the part that nobody talks about, right? And then she bumps her. And then Angel Reese there's on the side going, yeah, cheering, right? Now, a lot of y'all who ain't never played, organized the ball, football, basketball, anything like that, y'all don't get like the type of camaraderie teammates are supposed to have and supposed to foster. You don't understand the support that a teammate is supposed to give to the teammate in order to create the type of locker room that is conducive to winning. Ball don't get what happened, you know. And most of the critics are really like haters anyway, who are very, very extremely biased and unfair in their judgment anyway, see it the wrong way. Angel Reese did the right thing because your priority is your team. Your priority ain't the opponent, right? No one was hurt. No one's hip was broken or anything. What you show is support for your teammate. Now, even if you feel your teammate went overboard or did something wrong, and you feel like you should advise them or warn them or whatever, you do that behind closed doors. But that camera, you show, yeah, I support them, it's whatever. And that's the type of teammate she is. That's the personality she has. And honestly, it's a, for those who are into astrology and so on, it's a Taurian attribute. It is. I'm very much like that. You know, I happen to be born around that time of the year as well. That's how we are. We ride. It's whatever. You know, and when it's on, it's on. And if you can't keep fronting, then your ass is going in my DMX voice. But that's how she is. And I just wanted to point that out because, you know, it's very important, man, that when we talk about sports and we cover sports, that, you know, we point out those little attributes, those little details, man, that I really believe is going to lead to this sister being a winner. Now, I don't know what's going to happen this particular season. It appears to me that in this particular league, the WNBA, You have loaded teams, and then you have teams that just aren't. And it's like loaded teams are the ones that win. The Aces won the previous two championships. Um, Not too long ago, Chicago Sky actually won. I believe around 21 or something like that. They were more of a veteran loaded team. You had Candace Parker on there with Kalia Copper, with Vandersloot, with a number of different players. The Shields, who I like, was like I think in a prime or was at least healthier. It was like a loaded team. If you look last season, the New York, they're a loaded team. Multiple All Stars all over the place. Jones, Jonquel, freaking Anescu. You got Stewart, Brown and Stewart, and Laney Hamilton. They're a loaded squad. And if you look at the team that faced them in the finals, the Minnesota Lynx, they're a loaded squad. I remember watching them last year. I'm like, they're just loaded. We're talking about starting five in the bench. I think what outdid the Aces were, besides, the great Agent Wilson being burnt out, the depth, the lack of depth. Top heavy team, best starting five, or 4 out of 5 anyway. The depth, you see. And that's what it seems like in this league. So when I'm looking at Chicago, I really like Ariel Atkins. I really do. I think Ariel Atkins in this system with this team will average closer to 20 points than her, career 15. Because I think she'll be required to score more. I don't see a lot of points coming from Vandersloot. Reese, I expect to still be around 12 to 15 a night. Wouldn't surprise me if she does more, because nothing she does really surprises me, to be honest with you. But I imagine 12 to 15. I imagine Cardosa to go from where I think she was around 12 or 11 last season. I imagine her to score maybe 15 a night, I'm guessing. So my guess is a lot of the scoring will go to Atkins, who can get you 20 easy, I think. I think a lot of her scoring will be more efficient and easier. Playing with these bigs. You know what I mean? She'll just make a lot of things easier for them. She's a floor spacer along with Vandersloot. So that's the way I kind of see that team. But right now, they're not loaded enough to do serious damage, right? Unless those rookies make that type of a jump. More of a 18 to 20 points a night jump. Defense crazy. If they could be a team where they're ranking number 1 or number 2 in defense, then anything can happen. I truly believe that. I don't believe, I believe if you're number 1 in defense, anything can happen. But I'm not going to make such a prediction. You see, I predict they make the playoffs. I think once you added Atkins, but I'm imagining somewhere around the 7th, 8th. You know what I mean? Only because I'm expecting a lot of those other teams to get. Dallas is a crazy wild card. You add Paige Beckers to Carrington and Enrique, and that team is a team I'm going to be watching, because just for the entertainment value. And Phoenix will be better. You add Alyssa Thomas in the middle of anything, I think it gets better. I mean, you put her in the middle of anything, and I think it gets better. I think, in my opinion, for my money, Alyssa Thomas is the most impactful player in the league. And really, when Angel becomes what she is, I can see her. If she continues to be the playmaker, that part of her game, I can see her being that next impactful player, similar to Alyssa. But of course, Alyssa more like is the rim attacker. That, like, man. But I'll talk about that some other time, really. So yeah, so that's pretty much what happened. She gets a light that clicks on, boom, she decides I ain't freaking losing, and she'll just go out there and dominate, man. And that's really what I love about her game. So yeah. Yep. That's all I got, man. Just wanted to note some of those things, and get with y'all later, man. Peace out.